Okay, this is Detective Romero. Today is March the 16th, 2014. The time is 22:07. And I am with Detective James, what's your last name?
James Frederickson with BCSO.
James Frederickson with BCSO. This is Detective Romero with APD Violent Crimes, and this is in reference to case number 1423683. And I am with Officer, what's your name, sir?
John McDaniel.
How do you spell McDaniel?
MC. And Daniel. D-A-N-I-E-L.
Okay. What's your call sign?
Today it's 1520 Adam.
Okay. And what's your man number?
3275.
Okay. So we're here in reference to the incident that happened today. So why don't you just tell me everything that happened from the time that you were dispatched to just everything?
Well, I think we were dispatched around 3, close to 4, to this address over here, which is, what, 812... I forget the name of the street. Vista.
Is it Piedra Vista?
Piedra Vista, yeah. In reference to the subject possibly camping up here in the mountains, and or up here in open space. And so we make contact with a male subject that lives at that address. I forgot his name.
Okay. Was he the caller?
Yes.
Okay.
And he explained to us that there was a subject that was sleeping up or camping up not too far up, directly in line with his house. And he pointed us in the right direction, and he asked us, so we talked with him for a little bit, and then we decided to bring our vehicles over to Copper, because he told us that we could just come back through his property. But we told him, no, in case this guy has a warrant or something, we don't want to drag him through your yard.
Yeah.
And so we parked at Copper. We hiked up. Once we got to the general area where we thought he might be, and I turned on my camera, and then sure enough, we came around the corner and we could see his camp. You could see a tarp and bags lined around it, and he was kind of laying down with his knees up, his feet facing us, and he had when we made contact with him, we announced who we were, APD, and he had one. I could see one hand. I couldn't see the other hand, and so I asked him if he could show us his hands, and he wasn't being very compliant at that time. And so I pulled my duty weapon out, and I kept ordering him to show me his hands, and he finally took his other hand out, and then we asked him to step out of his tent, so we could pat him down for weapons or anything. And I noticed a folding knife, or a knife, with a clip, in his front pocket. So I told him I was going to pat him down, and then he got agitated with that, and he immediately stuck his hands in his pockets and pulled out 2 knives, at which time we disengaged and created some distance, and we just kind of held him down at his side like this, as if he was going to come at us, but he like froze there with his knives out, and he says, "You're not going to touch me," and so we disengaged. Just created a little bit more distance. Kept ordering him to drop the knives. He wouldn't follow any of our orders. And then we asked for backup, and the other officer showed up with less lethal, and there was a few bean bags, and a CIT officer showed up. Pat actually started getting communications with him and getting him to calm down, so I just didn't say anything really. I was just letting him build the rapport. And we were just trying to keep him calm until we had more officers there. But he wouldn't leave them, he just kept the knives there. He threatened that he was going to kill us. We weren't going to touch him or anything like that. He wasn't going to leave his weapons there. He wanted us to put our weapons away. And then the other officers showed up. We just kind of had him basically surrounded. The CIT officer started building a rapport with him, so then all of the direction, as far as the communications, was between the CIT officer and the subject up there. We tried to get his name. He was going off of, he told us he had a nickname of BA. And then finally we were able to get some more information out of him later on. There's a few times where we created an area where if he passed a certain area, which he was told, he crossed a rock that he was going to get, that he would get hit with a beanbag. And he never did cross that area while I was up there. Then once SWAT and everybody started, SWAT and K9 started showing up, I was pulled off, and I retreated back, and then I was sent up a little bit further north to block the bike path, or the hiking path from joggers and everybody from going up there. So I was there for a little while. There was 2 other officers, field officers, that were with me, and then they went up a little bit further north and up on the trail. Then a K9 officer showed up, and another SWAT officer and a state officer was with us at that little Y. Then they decided to put us a little bit further, to go up north and then start making our way up the mountain. Almost kind of, I think we were actually above. It was kind of hard to tell with the terrain. So I don't know exactly how far away we were from the actual subject. But I believe we were possibly above him. And maybe, I don't even know the distance really, between 50 to 100 yards from him. But we couldn't see him.
Okay.
And so we were just kind of waiting there in case he decided to travel north on the mountain. Which he didn't. And then we heard a flashbang, and that was it. You know, all the rest of the bean bags and stuff. But I couldn't see anything from there. And then that was pretty much it. They called for a rescue. Rescue was called up. And that was it. We just kind of stayed there until they told us we could break down the perimeter. And once that was done, then they asked me if I could bring my Tahoe up to block the bike path to secure the scene now. So my Tahoe's parked up there on the mountain now, blocking the bike path.
Okay. And I'm just going to go back and ask you some questions for clarification, okay? What unit are you in?
Open space.
Open space, okay. And so you were dispatched about, what you said, 1,500?
I think it was closer to 1,600.
Okay. Closer to,
remember
so
the
about
exact
1,600. To the Piedra Vista address.
Right.
The caller said that there was a guy camping outside in the open space area, and he called you guys because he wanted him removed. Was he causing a disturbance, or what?
He said that he had been up there, that this guy had been camping up there for, I believe, a month.
Okay.
And I believe he said he had called before, but I don't think they called for open space. And so I don't know what happened with that.
So you got there, you met the guy, the caller. What was his name?
I don't remember.
Okay. So he pointed to where the campsite was.
Right.
So you decided instead of going through his backyard, you guys are going to go through Copper.
Right.
So you hiked up to where his campsite was. How far would you say you hiked up about?
It was I would say it's less than a quarter mile.
Oh, okay.
It's not that far.
Okay. And when you got there, you did see the campsite. It was a tarp, and went out. Describe the campsite for me.
It was kind of like either like a clearish, whitish tarp, that kind of backed up against the rocks. And then underneath this tarp, you could see like his bags and food, and like a couple of backpacks. And it was pretty low, like maybe a couple feet opening on one side. The rest of it was sealed off.
So when you got there, you noticed he was lying down with his knees up, his feet were towards you guys. He had one hand that you could see. Where was that hand?
He had the one hand on his, I believe it was his right knee area.
Okay, and the other one you couldn't see.
Yeah, the other one was kind of like behind his left leg.
And then you gave him commands. Finally, he got up. He stepped out of the tent.
Right. He finally showed us his other hand.
Okay.
And then we asked him to step out of his, out of underneath the tarp. And then I told him I was going to pat him down to check him for weapons. And
he got agitated.
Right.
And when he pulled the 2 knives out and you guys disengaged, could you see what kind of knives they were or how big they were?
To To me, they looked like they're, between 3 and 4 inches long, the blades.
Both of them?
Both of them.
Okay.
And he kind of had them in his hand, like he was holding the handles with his thumbs. It was kind of hiding them, in his hands.
Okay. And so, just for the record, because we can't see on audio, you're just showing your hands both pointed out where it's with the thumbs holding the knives. Both knives in his hands.
Yeah, the blade's facing us.
Facing towards you.
Right.
Okay. So you guys disengaged when you saw that. He was...
Because he turned really fast, in an aggressive manner, and when he displayed the knives, then we were like, oh crap, so then we backed off.
Okay. And you guys had your guns drawn?
Yes.
Who else were you with at this time?
It was just myself and Officer Pat Hernandez.
Okay. Okay.
And he's also an open space officer.
Okay. So you guys were trying to talk to him. He wasn't following orders. Patrick then started talking to him. He was kind of building rapport, having good communication with him for a while. He kept the knives there. He threatened to kill you guys.
Right.
What exactly did he say when he was threatening you guys?
He just says, I'm going to kill you.
Okay. Okay. And how long would you say you guys talked to him before you got 82?
Maybe 10 minutes.
Okay. So it's 10 minutes.
It seemed pretty quick, but I don't know. Time kind of goes by differently.
Yeah, of course. And then so SWAT and K9 show up. Mm-hmm. They come 56, and then they pulled you off so they could take over. They set up a perimeter. Mm-hmm. And then you went to the hiking path. Which hiking path did you go to? Was it, if you could just give me directions, like, was it south of his campsite, north of his campsite?
It was west, and then I went north of his campsite.
Okay.
It was west of his campsite.
Northwest of his campsite?
It's a walking path. I want to say it's like 141 or something like that.
Oh, no, that's okay. So you were northwest of the campsite. You were above him, north of him, about 5,200 yards away?
Well, initially, I went north of him, and then we were below him.
Okay. When you heard the flashbang, where were you at?
I think we were above him then.
Okay. You said about 5,200 yards above him.
Oh, maybe not above him, but away from him.
Away from him. Okay. Right. Could you see him from the position you were at?
No.
Okay. Did you have your lapel camera, or what kind of camera did you have?
I had the taser camera.
Okay.
When I heard the flashbang, I turned it back on.
Okay. So you had your taser camera. Okay. At any time, did you ever deploy your weapon, shoot? Did you ever?
No, I never shot.
Okay, with your handgun or any less lethal?
Nothing.
Okay. And let's see. Is there anything else that I haven't asked you that you think is important to this investigation?
No, I think I got everything.
Detective Fredrickson, do you want to follow up?
Did you talk to any civilian witnesses or anything afterwards?
Nobody afterwards.
I don't know if you got a sheet of papers. Would you mind
yes.
drawing a diagram?
Yeah, could you? What we'd like to do is just have you draw a map of like his campsite, where the house of the caller was, where you encountered him the very first time, and then where you set up when you heard the flashbang. Okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and. Do you have any other questions? No questions? No. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and conclude the interview then, and the time is 22:21.